Kia ora, hello, thanks very much for joining us. I'm Philip Duncan. Well, the weather across New Zealand and Australia is being dominated by low pressure down here in the Southern Ocean. In fact, very big storms in the 940 hectopascal range. Now, this time of the year, this is very normal. Around July, especially August, we get the biggest storms of the year down in the Southern Ocean. And what they've been doing is they've been brushing the southern coastline of Australia from Western Australia right over to Victoria and Tasmania, even up to New South Wales at times. And then the leftovers get over to New Zealand, usually as warmer nor'westers and westerlies, and that's what we've been seeing in the New Zealand area for the last, week or so. And we've got high pressure to the north, that's also keeping northern parts and eastern parts of Australia settled, as well as New Zealand. And at the moment, the New Zealand area, not really under high pressure or low pressure, but it's close enough to this high that for the most part, the weather is settled around New Zealand. There's just a few isolated niggly showers that are still hanging around. So let's try and take a look at this. The winds today, Wednesday, very, very strong around South Australia. These winds, these gusts are getting up to 130, 140 k's an hour, and then it pushes in to Tasmania and along that southern coastline. So more windy weather today, and it comes back again later in the week. So it's certainly not going away anytime soon. Temperature-wise though, this same airflow is lifting up New Zealand's temperatures. So today, look at this, a few degrees warmer than average in the North Island, up to several degrees warmer in the South Island. Tonight, about normal, a little bit cooler maybe in the east, a little bit warmer in the west, but generally speaking, you can see the green shading. That's just the satellite map showing New Zealand with no key. But look at tomorrow, Thursday, much warmer around the New Zealand area on the key. That is 4 to 8 degrees above normal in those red areas, and that's because a northerly wind is about to develop coming out of Australia. So this is Thursday's setup. Look at the storms down here. Very big, larger than Australia size-wise, and those strong winds come back into Perth, and windy weather continues all the way along the coastline, in fact all the way up into Sydney and Brisbane. But then it moves out across the Tasman, and because of the high north of New Zealand, that guides it in as a warm for this time of the year, northerly or northwesterly. So that will pick up on Thursday. That's why we're seeing temperatures lifting up in the New Zealand area while they're dropping over in that southeastern corner of Australia. By Friday, we've got rain lining up to the west. That's pushing into the west coast. A couple of showers elsewhere, but really those northerly winds, they'll be pretty brisk in exposed parts of New Zealand. And look at this storm, gets bigger with another surge of gale force winds, severe gales going into Perth, coming down around Adelaide and Melbourne and into Hobart. And the seas are huge too, massive waves over 8, 9, 10 metres coming in along the southern coastline at times. New Zealand's not quite so badly affected by those big swells, but it's still going to be a bit rough. So check those marine conditions if you're brave enough to go out at this time of the year. So we've got a bit of rain, as I just said, coming through. This is the 2-day rainfall from Thursday for New Zealand, so really Thursday and Friday, heaviest falls down here where they're supposed to be in Fiordland, the rainforest. So it's quite good to see what looks like a normal rainfall map for once. We've certainly seen some extreme ones over the last few weeks. Into the weekend, so we've got more windy weather out over on the Aussie side, but on the New Zealand side, not too bad. There's an area of low pressure to the north, a sort of a strange shaped low. This might move around a wee bit. And therefore, northern New Zealand, I think your forecast might chop and change a little bit for Saturday. Rain's more likely in Northland, but once you get to Auckland, Waikato, Bay of Plenty, it's a lot more borderline and may actually be fairly dry. But in saying that, if it moves just a little bit further to the south, you've got some rain in there and more rain falling along the west coast. On Sunday, that low to the north of New Zealand looks like it'll be stuck up there. We've got a few showers moving into the western side, and it's still stormy all the way along the Australian coastline, but especially over on the western side. And then our final map here for Monday shows another area of low pressure. This might move around a wee bit more before we lock it in totally, but it's just another system coming out of the stormy Southern Ocean. So this is normal, the stormy weather. What's not normal is perhaps the consistency. It's just been consistently windy around the southern side of Australia, and that's then coming over to New Zealand in a milder form. So we're getting these warmer northerlies, warmer westerlies in the New Zealand area, and it doesn't look to change next week. Although what does change next week, perhaps a little bit less stormy down here in the Southern Ocean, but it's still pretty windy. I wouldn't want to be on a boat anywhere near the Southern Ocean at the moment. That is all from me. For more details, obviously go to ruralweather.co.nz, or for the latest news and weather, head on to weatherwatch.co.nz. We'll see you tomorrow with our next update.